The only way to check your duty cycle is to have a power source that tells you your duty cycle. If you don't have a power source that tells you these things, you're out of the loop a little bit. You're doing it by feel. If you don't have any experience, how do you know what it should be like? So the best thing to do is get a readout that will tell you what your speed is and what your duty is. Another tool that is very important that a lot of you don't have. Spring tension gauge, readout on your power supply. If you're tuning machines, these are important. So you can see we adjust things as we go along. I might start off and say that I'm making a liner. So I will start off with some springs like this, knowing that I'm going into a liner setup. But then as I adjust for the frame and the machine, this might not be enough, so I might switch it out with this. Or I might decide to give it a longer throw, and I'll have to switch it out with this. The numbers will tell me what I need to do. The numbers on my power supply will tell me what to do, and the numbers on my spring tension will tell me what to do. I have this tool that I started using in the beginning. Now I just kind of go by feel and my numbers, but I also threw a nickel on here, a dime, and a quarter. A lot of times when we're talking about our machines, the terminology we're using is the thickness of a dime, nickel, and a quarter. That is when you push your armature bar down, how much space you have between your spring and your contact screw. Right in there. A lot of you guys will mention this. You don't mention why this is so important. And the reason why this is important is your stroke. So that is how far your needle travels. The distance from the top of this armature bar until it hits the front coil, that distance right there, that's how long your stroke is. And you can see that gap there affects that. I might start off with a certain set of springs if it's a machine I haven't messed with before, knowing that generally these springs will work. But then as I start to tune the machine, I might find that maybe this spring isn't what I wanted and I need to go with a different spring. This is why I have an assortment of springs here, so I can adjust it to my needs, adjust it so that I get the correct numbers. So everybody always asks me, should I throw an 18 gauge spring on there? Should I throw a 20 gauge spring? And I can't answer that question. You need to know how to adjust your springs to get what you want. But I don't know what kind of frame you have. I don't know what your machine's acting like. So all I'm going to tell you every single time is you need to know how to adjust your machines and how to adjust your springs to get the numbers you want. And then go from there, because once your numbers are correct, you're good. So I always get asked what springs to use for certain setups, and you can use different springs and different combinations. So unless I'm actually working with you and I see what your numbers are and I see what machine you have, I can't give you an answer to that. I can just give you general statements. My answer is use what works. Use what gives you the numbers you want, and when you start tattooing with that machine, are you getting the results that you want? If not, you need to adjust it. One of our measurements here is the distance from the rear deck here to the contact screw here. You need to have the correct distance on your spring and your rear spring. so that it sits on your rear deck here and touches your contact screw here. And you need to move these around and adjust them to get that correct distance, and at the same time you need your armature bar nipple to sit in your tube correctly. So this, and this all have to be the correct distance. And this is why I usually use 2 springs, because you can move them around and adjust them. If you have a single spring with a hole in it already, you're pretty much stuck with what you got. Something like this is going to be a little harder to tune, because I can put that on there and it's only going to be that distance. I can't scoot it back or move it forward to make that distance correct. So if you get something like this, it's made for a specific machine and it has to be the correct distance or else it won't work. Here's our liner with the dime gap. Here's our shader with a nickel gap, a little bit more. So here's our color packer, and that's going to have even more of a gap, which this one has about a nickel. Here is the trick though. Here's what you need to understand. Why the air gap is important has everything to do with how far your needle travels. It has everything to do with the stroke of your machine. And the stroke is how far your needle travels. So your needle attaches to the armature bar nipple and it goes that far. See the relationship with the gap and the armature bar traveling? And if you have a lot of spring here, your nipple will actually travel further because your spring will bend a little bit. So the bendier the front spring, the more travel you get, the more stroke you get, the more distance you get. So on a color packer, you need more distance, a little bendier spring in the front, a little longer bendier spring is what you would choose. The reason why the liner gets a dime is because lining ink is really thin and it's really runny, and the needle doesn't need to travel as far. It needs to stay right in the tip where that ink is running out. The flow of the ink is really fast, so it needs to move really fast. The shader needs more of a gap and more tension because you want to build up that ink. You want to build up those tones. You want to use some gray washes. So the shader gets the nickel gap so that you can shade with it, and the color packer gets the really long stroke so that your big mag needles can go all the way up into that ink and get as much ink on the needles as possible and go down. It goes up really far. It gets that nice goopy thick coloring ink all over the needles and then goes in and gives you a nice solid color. Your ink is more goopy. There's less flow, so you need it to travel in there, collect everything, and then go down and deposit that in the skin. So it gets the nice long stroke. So one way to measure that is a gapping tool or a nickel and dime. Or what I tend to use now is your armature bar ghost. And you might be confused by this, but if you look at the armature bar nipple right here, you will see it move up and down. And right now, you can't see it, but when I run this, you'll see two of them. It's like an optical illusion. On a liner, you should see this. On a shader, you should see one on top of the other one. On a color packer, you should see a little bit of a gap there. With a liner, the stroke is not as far, so the point gap is closer and you see very little movements. With the shader, you have a little longer movement, so it looks like you have an armature bar on top of the other armature bar. With a color packer, you have a lot of movement, so they separate from each other. So just looking at the armature bar ghost while the machine is running will tell me what kind of throw I have on that machine. So how do we know what armature bar to use? And the armature bar, what the armature bar I think affects the most is your speed, or cycles per second. So you need to have the correct distance, so your armature bars can be shorter or longer, but you also need to have the correct weight. A heavier armature bar slows your machine down, a lighter armature bar speeds it up. So you can have a longer, lighter armature bar or a short, fat, heavy armature bar. And you only know what you need by looking at your numbers. The weight of your armature bar will adjust your speed. Here's our liner. Let's look at our speed for the liner. .143, so it's running faster at 143, and our duty 57. It's a little high. I like to have it at 50 or 55. Because I have a power source with the speed on it, I can see that this machine runs faster. And usually for line work, you move your hand a little faster so you can get the outline in, and your client's not sitting there forever while you're tinkering with it. So let's see where our shader is at. .120 about. Let's see where our color packer is at. This is another important reason you should have a readout right here. Your duty cycle. Right here is our cycles per second. That's our speed. Up here is our duty cycle. And that will also let you know how your machine is running. This is also important because it will tell you how long your spring is in contact with the contact screw versus how long it is not in contact. It's a duty cycle. So how many times does it cycle from on and off? On right there, off, on, off. How many times does it do that? And if it's around 50, that means it's an even amount of times and your machine is running smoothly. If it is lower, that means your armature bar is down more than it is up. If it is higher than 50, it is up more than it is down. So it lets you know that your machine is running smooth. If it's around 50 to 55, that means your machine is running evenly. I like a smooth running machine, so that's where I set mine. So if you ever want to look at a tattoo machine and see whether or not it's a liner, shader, or color packer, you need to look at all of those things. So to complete a tuning process on a tattoo machine, a coil machine, you go through the alignment of the machine to make sure everything's correct. You check you check the alignment with this, the alignment tool, and then you check your spring tension to make sure that is correct. And then you check out your cycles per second on your power supply, and you make sure that is correct. You check your air gap, and you can also check that out with your Armature Bar Ghost, and that will tell you what your stroke is on your machine to make sure that your stroke is correct. And you also check out your duty cycle to make sure your machine is running smoothly. You adjust your springs, you adjust your armature bar, you adjust your tension, you adjust your angle of your contact screw, you adjust all of that to get your numbers correct. So what spring should you use on what machine? Whatever gives you the correct numbers. How do I tell a liner, shader, and color packer? By the stroke, the angle of the contact screw, the tension, all of that. It's all of these things go into how the machine is going to work. I feel like we label tattoo machines incorrectly by calling them liners, shaders, and color packers. I really think we should say what they do and how they run. For instance, a liner would be a faster running machine with a short stroke. Your shader would be a medium speed machine with higher tension and a medium stroke, and your color packer would be a slow running machine with a long stroke. Just saying it's a liner actually doesn't tell you anything. I mean, your typical liner is set up a certain way, but it doesn't give you all of the information for this machine. Calling this a shader doesn't tell you what kind of tension or springs you have on this machine. Calling them a liner, shader, and color packer leaves out a lot of information. You should sell machines and tell you what exactly the machine does. This is a faster running machine with a short stroke. This is a medium stroke machine with a medium speed, and this is a slow running machine with a longer stroke. And they should give you the details of the machine, allowing you to pick what you need to get the job done.